So let's get into another ContentHub talk. We'll look at integrating DAM with XP, just briefly. Maybe some information on me. I've been working with the Experience platform for over 10 years, and I've been getting into this ContentHub world roughly since a year now. And yeah, here are some learnings of integrating these two worlds. So what we're going to have a look at in the next 15 minutes is, first of all, the connector, what comes out of the box. Then we're going to track asset usage within the CMS, which is not out of the box. We'll fetch additional metadata, and we are going to keep this metadata up to date. Okay, so most current version of this connector is Sitecore Connect for ContentHub 5.0. It was just released last month. And it allows you to basically browse, search, and insert assets into image fields within the CMS. I have a small short video showing how this is done. So you can click the browse button, dialog pops up, you click your image, your asset that you want to choose, select a public link, and then it gets magically transformed into your image field. Another use case that it does, you can also insert images into rich text. It has a button there. You can also select public links. I decided to create a new public link here with a custom crop. Drop this down. Save, and it'll take a few seconds to create this public link before we can then transfer it into an image tag within the rich text editor. There we go. Select, and here we have it. Just a basic image tag within my rich text editor pointing to the asset on the DAM. Okay, so this dialog that pops up, this asset chooser, it's nice to know that you can customize it. It's basically, for those familiar with ContentHub, it's just another page within the ContentHub. It's called Sitecore DAM Connect. You can add tabs here. You can customize the search control. You will most likely want to customize it, add facets, or you could set it up to just display assets that match a certain taxonomy. It's very flexible. So you can do quite a bit of things. You might notice here we've set up different tabs for different categories. Yeah, quite flexible. Another thing you can do with this connector that I'm not going to dive into in this talk is you can sync content entities with Sitecore items. So you can set up mappings and sync them into item buckets within the CMS. So now that we've picked assets from the DAM into our CMS, how can we keep track of them? Let me elaborate why this is an issue. The thing that you have to know, these DAM references are no items. So the ones of you who know classic media library, every asset was tied to an item. So you had link database. You could just go navigate and go to all referencing pages that referenced this media item. You can't do this anymore with DAM references, because everything this connector actually stores in the raw value of the field is an XML snippet like this one. So you have a content ID, which is the asset ID. Within the DAM, you have a thumbnail, source, and the actual public link to your instance, and just some basic metadata that gets copied over. So yeah, we cannot use link database. What we can do instead, what can we do instead? So it's bit code heavy, this slide, but it's basically all code you need to come up with a solution. You can extend an index, basically any index. I would use Sitecore master index with a computed field. And in this computed field, you just go through all image fields that contain this Style Labs content ID and get out these asset IDs and store them in the index. This makes it easy then for querying. So we can just go there and say, content search, give me all item versions and items that have some sort of references to a specific item ID, specific asset ID, sorry. So once we have this set up, we can do cool stuff like we did for this project. We display the asset usage on an asset details page. So we actually, I'll show later on how it works. Let's just show what it does. So this is an asset details page on ContentHub. Scroll down, and there's a widget down there. And I can say show usage, and it will show me all Sitecore items from within the CMS that are referencing this asset. I can click and then jump straight into Content Editor. This is possible with the help of this index extension that we've set up. Let me just sort of explain how this works. So we have ContentHub here, custom widget on ContentHub on the details page. We have the Sitecore CM instance plus the master index that we have extended. And we just set up a simple controller on the Sitecore CM instance that returns information based upon an asset ID. So it goes queries Sitecore master index with the code snippet I showed before and returns all versions or all items that are referencing this asset ID. Then in the end, it's a bit small, we can display this nice little widget for the content authors. So this is a very useful thing to do. It can be done with not too much customization. Include a link. I assume the slides will be shared later on. So then you'll have a link here. I've documented all of this in a blog post. Okay. So now we are fetching this information. We could keep track of where our assets are referenced. What if we need additional metadata? For instance, just to recap, we have this XML field with just some basic metadata in it. What if I want some specific field of my schema also be mapped over to the CMS because I want to display it on the web page? You can do that. Like you can extend this snippet to add more custom fields, basically as many as you like. What I did here was also display them for the authors. You don't have to do that, but you can if you want. And this can be done by extending the image control. It's called image control, which is an extended standard image control from the CMS. And what you used to have to do is the moment the asset is picked, you had to open a connection through ContentHub API and go fetch the additional data that you wanted to have and then add it to this snippet. Luckily, just this February in version 5, you can set up attribute mappings and you don't have to go through this anymore. So you can just set up items with the DAM field and configure it. So it'll be mapped automatically. I haven't tried this out, but I assume it'll work as documented. As for this part down here, this is custom. You'll have to extend the image control, but that can be done quite easily. Okay, it's already the last part of this quick talk. Let's have a look at how we can keep metadata up to date. There are a couple of solutions out there in blogs. I'm going to show this one with an Azure queue and Rebus. So we have ContentHub, and we can set up a trigger and an action that will notify an Azure queue every time an asset is saved. So it'll just basically send the asset ID to this Azure queue. It actually even sends a change set and some additional information, but basically all we need is, hey, asset ID so-and-so has changed. And then we can hook up the CM instance with this Azure queue. There's different ways of doing it. In my current project, we've just set up a scheduled job that fetches the most recent queue entries every couple of minutes. What you can also do is set up Rebus, the message bus built into Sitecore XP, and you can sort of continuously poll this queue and execute an event upon any change within the queue. And when this change reaches the CM, it says, hey, asset ID so-and-so has changed. You're going to check the index, which items are referencing. Then you have to go through all these items and update these image tags. Yeah, that's basically what it does. There's a blog post here from Anna Bründel. Shout out to her, which is very helpful. All of this is documented in a quite nice way. So that's a good thing to look at. Okay, so we're quite fast, faster than in my rehearsal. Good. Maybe give some time for some questions.
So in the very beginning, you showed the export from ContentHub to Media Library, right?
Yeah.
And in order to do that, you generated the public URL for the media on ContentHub. So is it temporarily generated, or it's like some permanent link that will stay always open?
Public link is permanent, yeah. So it even if you update the asset on ContentHub, the link stays the same. So, which is not true for the metadata, but for the public link is stable. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
What's your experience in really using the images on the website? Because in Sitecore, when you use a media library, it's quite flexible in getting a media item and transforming the size, for example. So you have one data source, which is your media library item, and you can change the size of that item in several ways.
Yeah.
What's your experience in using the ContentHub for that? Because you have one a rendition for an asset, which have.
Yeah, we've really ran into this issue. It's a bit of a different paradigm, but you can use these transform parameters from ContentHub. Yeah. They are very useful. So it's like you attach t equals, and you can set up the ratio and size. But that requires you to change your components, which, this has to be done. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Some of you may have heard me say this in the other session, but we do have sandboxes available. If you're an MVP, you're entitled to a $50 credit as well. So if you've never touched ContentHub and want to play around with it, please take advantage of that or see me for your MVP award.
Yeah, just a quick question. You said that you have created a custom widget on ContentHub as a detail page. What is the page component that you have created for that? Is that an external page component with JavaScript or something else?
Yeah, external page.
Yeah,
component,
okay. Yeah.
I have it in my blog post that's linked, the whole source code for it. So you can have a peek there.
How's the integration with Experience Editor and Horizon?
Horizon, I don't know. Honestly, haven't tried. I really don't know. But Experience Editor is absolutely fine. There's a button there, and you can this interface pops up just like in Content Editor. Yeah.
Okay, so my name is Saad. My question is, like, do you have a cropping functionality available in the Sitecore CMS as well, and you have those functionality available in the ContentHub? So if you modify the original image, will it impact your, in the CMS as well, where you having cropping it, or you have already cropped it?
So it depends. If you sort of change the original asset, the public link stays the same, so it'll update all references.
Yeah.
If you're using these transform parameters, then you can actually use custom crops in your solution without having to create renditions, things like that.
Okay, so that will change our focal point that we have cropped on in our CMS. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
this concept of focal point doesn't really exist, to my knowledge. They have like this smart crop system with transforms.
Okay.
I don't think they have a focal point yet.
I mean, like the certain part that you have cropped already, so it will be changed, right? Depending on the resolution and the area that you have cropped in the CMS, right? I mean, there are two cropping options available, one in the Sitecore CMS and one in the ContentHub. So if you modify any of it, so it will impact the other, right?
So the example I showed before, I was cropping on creating the public link.
Yeah.
So this crop will be fixed and stored in this public link.
Okay.
So it lives as long as this public link lives.
Okay.
So this you can, I don't know if you can change it or if you have to create a new one. I'm not sure.
Okay. Thank you.